Welcome back, sporting fans, to another spectacular episode of the Paint the Wall podcast. I, as always, am your host, Steve, and I am joined this week by a man who thinks sweet and sour chicken should be illegal, but you all know him as Logan.
I can be real honest, Steve. I really want to play into the bit as I always do. I just can't. Sweet and sour chicken's amazing. So
I know. So when I wrote this one, that was a test because I know sweet and sour chicken is your favorite, and I'm like, I'm going to put this in because I want to see if he'll go with it or not.
no, I won't do the bit today. Sorry.
Good for you. Good
Thanks.
for you. Stick it to your guns.
Yeah, I mean,
love it.
It's not authentic or like not Chinese whatsoever, but it's delicious. So who cares?
Yeah, most of the time. Sometimes
it
it
can.
sucks, but
Yeah, it can. But yeah.
I love it. That's funny. I really thought you'd go with it. I really did, but
No, I try to roll with them most of the time, but today I was like, no, I can't do this.
that's fantastic.
Not doing it.
I love it. Yeah. Well, all right, we've had enough fun. So now we get to do that fun thing where we talk about a bunch of games that Sporting lost again.
Yeah. Do we get to?
Yeah, apparently. I guess that's a good point. Is that how do you want to look at it?
Yeah.
I mean, we get to start with RSL at least. That there are plenty of positives from that game at least.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was a loss. I get that, but very different type of loss than the Columbus game, which I'm really hoping we just don't talk about.
Yeah, I can't agree that I felt way better after that game than I did after the Columbus game. I will agree with that.
That one felt like a loss to a first place team, but we played a lot better than a 13th place team, and we just got edged out. And in all honesty, I don't think we got beat that game, and I don't think we beat ourselves that game. I think, in all honesty, the little bits of luck that you need in an MLS game just continuously did not fall our way.
Yeah,
this entire game, right down to we have stoppage time shots hitting the post that would have tied it, and it just tons of luck not going our way.
I very rarely accept the excuse we just didn't get the breaks this game. This is definitely one of them where we just really couldn't catch a break. Like you said, we were smacking the post in the 97th minute. Like, it was crazy how many opportunities we were getting. But yeah, just couldn't quite find the equalizer. So that one was pretty frustrating. But honestly, I loved the creativity from that offense. I loved what we were doing. It was really good, and that was the kind of game that made me go, okay, maybe Peter does have the creativity it takes. Which you sent me a text I do want to talk about, because I very specifically did not reply to your text message because it was a podcast conversation, but we'll keep going. Okay. But it really made me think, ooh, maybe this team does have, maybe the leadership does have what it takes to do something with this team. We're not going far. We're probably going to make the playoffs because the MLS playoff system is stupid. Maybe not the case anymore, but like it definitely gave me a lot more hope. So that was a good game, and that's all we need to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, of course, they played a 4-4-2 in this one, which I didn't really catch. I mean, like, it kind of looked like it a little bit, but I didn't really catch it till I read the post-game interview stuff, and Peter said we played a 4-4-2, and I was like, oh, it's still kind of played like a 4-3-3, but it was really Tommy and Agata the way they were playing that made it look like that. But that 4-2-2 or 4-4-2, excuse me, kind of seemed to work. Plenty of examples of Agata still not being able to hit the side of a barn, but I'll take this over Polito's.
Yeah,
just being on the field, standing there, from what we've got from him so far this season. Anyway, so
it's valid. I'll take it. He did score. He scored twice, actually.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So he definitely found the broadside of the barn, at least.
That's true.
Twice.
That's true. I guess I was looking at my notes from the first half where it was like, he just can't find it. Like, he can't hit the goal. And I'm like, man, between all these misses, we should be up 3 by now.
Right.
But yes, he did end up scoring twice.
It is definitely the kind of situation where you go, if this guy could just figure out how to get it on target when it matters, this man's leading the Golden Boot race.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he's always in the right spot. He always knows where to be. His decision making is pretty solid. He's always hustling. Like he's doing everything. He just can't do. He just is missing that one tiny little not super important skill of finding the goal.
Yeah, getting it on target.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
still prefer it to Polito because
that's fair.
I mean, yeah, Polito puts them on target, but like once every 3 games. So
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
and those don't go in; they're just on
Yeah.
target. So
He's literally the exact opposite of Agata, where he's not doing everything else. He's
yep.
not running, he's not hustling, he's not positioning well. But if he does just happen to find himself open, he will score it sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
If he feels like looking at where the keeper is and doesn't put it right on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
But the creativity, I thought, at least at the beginning, carried over to the Columbus game. At least it looked like it was going to.
yeah, it was creative in Columbus, that's for sure.
We come out in a 3-4-3 is what
Yep.
they put out.
Which I would very much like to get credit where it's due. It played like a 5-back. And honestly, most of the time when I was looking at the back line, there was 5 in the back. So I called it, and you were like, "No, it's not." And I was like, "We'll see."
So, agree to disagree.
Okay.
It did play like a 5-back, but that's because we only had the ball 29% of the time.
That's
So
valid.
the whole point in the 3-4-3 with using those 2 wing
Uh-huh.
backs as the other 2 midfielders is that when we are defending, they can kind of slot back and help out when it's
Sure.
needed,
You're right.
which was 88 and a half minutes of the game.
Yeah,
So yes, but I think it still looked like a 3-4-3 because as soon as we would get the ball, both wings would push.
that's fair.
Like
You're
immediately they would
right.
push. And if we had the ball in the middle of the field, the middle
Mhm.
third, it was 3 in the back, across the back.
That's valid. You are
Um,
right. I guess it kind of I don't know. I guess that is kind of the key difference between between some other formations is whenever you've got those kind of midfield heavy, you're relying way more on those wingers to get up and down the field.
mhm,
Which honestly, that was the big concern I saw whenever I saw Basong in that role,
mhm.
because he's not really been playing that much throughout the season. As of late, definitely been playing more, but that was my bigger concern. Pierre, I was pretty confident that kid can run for days and he'll be fine. But
Well, unless he breaks his hand, then
there's that.
apparently,
Right.
um, but honestly, this type of wing back, having Kyrie slot in for him is probably
Mhm.
best case scenario because Kyrie
Agreed.
is fast, and we saw
Mhm.
that several times. His pace
Mhm.
is impressive, so
Yeah.
he looked just fine back there playing in that
Mhm.
midfield slash having to fall back role. I
Right.
just think that the 3-4-3 could be interesting, but very quickly in that game, it was evident that it was going to end up playing like a 5-2-1 or 5-4-1 or whatever,
Mhm.
um, or 5-5-2-3 is what I meant to say,
Yeah. There you go.
because we can't get the ball. We can't get to
Yeah.
keep the ball out of Columbus's possession. So
Mhm.
it just didn't matter what formation it was. It was
Right.
basically them playing keep away from us and
Mhm.
scoring 4 times. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, as soon as I saw the lineup, I texted you, and
mhm,
I was not happy. And you made the very credible point that we criticize Peter for not trying anything. Peter
mhm.
tries something, and we immediately go, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I
Um,
tweeted that out too, and I got some likes, which I thought was
yeah.
funny. I put Vermes out supporters and a quote. Peter never tries anything new. He's so washed. Puts out a new lineup. What the hell is this?
Credit
I
where
was like,
it's
what
due.
do you want from the guy?
You are right. He did try something new. And I don't immediately wish to say that it was the lineup that failed.
Mhm,
I do think this is something that could work. Um, I just think it was a bit too much different. The problem is we had Castellanos who's not consistent, Volader who's not consistent, Memo who a little bit more time than the playing time than the others. We got
mhm,
a Gata who we haven't been seeing a lot of, a Frifa who we haven't been seeing a lot of. Well, we've seen a little bit more lately, but it
mhm,
was just a lot of inconsistent players in a different formation that like honestly was such a different change from what we normally do. I
mhm.
was surprised to see that get implemented on a short week. Um So I'm not willing to say that the formation didn't work. Um, I would definitely love to see it with maybe some of our more established players.
Mhm.
That being said, our established players are who knows what they are anymore.
Yeah, and
So
that's also why I think we went to this other lineup is because our
mhm.
established players are all injured now. So it's
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like,
valid.
well, we have to put out a formation with what we have.
Hmm.
So we have 3 center backs
Hmm.
who can play, one who is hot trash, but we still keep letting him play and he keeps giving up goals, which we'll get to here in a minute.
Woo.
Um, but the front 3 for this game I thought was interesting. Willie, Afrifa, and Tommy. I actually
Uh-huh.
was excited to see that. They just never got to have the ball.
Right.
The first 20 minutes wasn't bad. Willie had a couple chances. He had a clear breakaway that he completely missed the goal on.
Yeah.
That was one of the ones where I was very frustrated because it was a solid breakaway.
Hmm.
Like, we have to score that. This game is well, probably not. This game probably wouldn't be any different the way Columbus played.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have ended up being different, but
Mhm.
you never know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that one's got to at least be put on target.
Right. Yeah, you
But
gotta put it on target.
I don't know.
It's
Um,
yeah, I think where this fell apart was the midfield just wasn't able to control the middle of the field, which
right. Yeah, I
crazy
know.
name.
Right.
They just couldn't control the middle of the field. Every time they had the ball in that middle third, they just couldn't keep control. Um, and Basong I don't think Basong was quite ready for this. I don't know if we don't know how much time they spent working on this in practice.
Mhm.
So I don't know if this is something that got thrown in last minute, but I just felt like the midfield just wasn't quite ready for it. Um, so I'm more than willing to see it again. Like, this is the kind of stuff we got to be trying something.
Yeah, why not,
But right, but then there's also the other big elephant in the room of talent issue or
Mhm.
hashtag skill issue. Like,
Yep.
we just don't have it.
No.
Um,
And that, I
so
think, to me, is the bigger problem from this particular game was
mhm,
Columbus is obviously a much better team,
yeah, I would agree.
and you can even look at the game right before RSL. We still lost that game.
Hmm.
And I know Basong. I don't have the exact quote. I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to find it. But at the end of that game, he basically said, this is unacceptable. There's no reason why we should be scoring 3 goals and losing a game.
Hmm.
Like, something has to change. So I liked hearing that he was not calling out specific people,
Hmm.
but calling out the players as like, what are we doing?
Hmm.
How do we score 3 goals and lose a game? So, like, there's obviously talent there, and
Right,
we've talked about it before. Scoring goals is not our problem.
right.
We're still like ninth in the league in goals scored, something like
Hmm.
that. That is not our problem.
Right.
They even said it. I have highlighted a few things they said during the game. One is we have nine 1-goal losses this year.
Yeah.
9. I think half of which we were leading at some point.
Right.
Actually 13 games in a row where we've trailed at some point now.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. And
it's
for
just
me,
ugh.
those are the two things where I'm like most. That is where I point most to this being a leadership issue. I agree it's a talent problem, but also because the leadership is in the fine details of. Because obviously you're right, they don't control what they do on a daily on the pitch. Peter doesn't play the game, but Peter's responsible for the mentality of the team and how the players are supposed to be behaving in a moment. And I'm sorry, I'm struggling for words here, but Peter is supposed to be kind of controlling the pace of play, um, kind of how the game is supposed to be run from a tactical standpoint. And when you're losing 1-goal games or you're blowing leads, to me, that's a mentality issue. That is the team is not doing the right stuff at the right time. And I don't know. It's one of those where it feels like we've been doing this for years. As long as you and I have supported this team, we've always been blowing late leads and we've always been losing by 1 goal. It just seems to happen way more often than it should, and with a completely different cast. We've had a completely different team from the last 5 years ago when we kind of struggled with the same issues. So either we're not picking the right players, or we aren't instilling the right mindset in these players. We aren't doing the right intangibles, which to me, it all comes back to leadership. And personnel is part of the problem, but Peter's been largely in charge of personnel acquisitions. I know that Brian Bliss was head of personnel, and I know that he had a large say in things, but at the end of the day, it was Peter's final call on who they signed and who they didn't.
Maybe it wasn't.
That's what everybody. I mean, that's what all the roles said. That's what everything said.
I don't know. I mean, because you just said that there is a skill issue. You know, we were just like a few seconds ago talking about like a skill issue there. I don't think it can't. I don't know how it can be both. It can't be Peter's fault and be a skill issue. Like if he doesn't have the skilled players to go out and do the stuff that he needs to do, then that's on the players. That's not on him. He can only make them do so much.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's been very well established that Peter is in charge of player acquisition. That's been made very clear for years.
Yeah, I don't know that it's as black and white as it seems, because I'm starting to kind of read into some of these things that like Peter says, and like recently he's been talking about the upcoming transfer windows and them needing to do some things. And he's mentioned several times about if we can get the higher ups, if you will. I don't remember exactly what he said, so don't quote me on it, but
Okay.
it was basically along the lines of, if we can get the higher ups to agree on a price or to agree on how much money they're going to give us.
Yeah.
Or he said before the season we had 4 different midfielders we tried to sign to a DP and we couldn't agree on price.
Right.
So I think he's starting to kind of mention a little bit that like maybe he is trying to make moves and the uppers are not letting him spend the money that he feels he needs to spend
right
to get these players.
That's a valid point.
Which is like the amount of money that we're spending on players is a big problem. I know if I don't want to go deep into details, I don't have it, but if you listen to No Other Pod or anybody else listens to No Other Pod, they did a pretty deep dive in this week's episode about the money difference between us and other teams. Really good. You should listen to it. But they're talking about like amount of money spent per point. And we're like 5th highest in that like ratio or something like that. Right. I don't remember exactly what it is, but basically we're spending a ton of money and we have no points. So it's like the money that we're spending is not equating to what we need to, and we haven't spent any money in like forever. Even the announcers in the Columbus game talked about Polito. They're like, that was the last big name player. And they're like, when did they sign him? And they're like, 5 years ago. Like, yeah, we haven't spent any money in 5 years. So
yeah, and I mean, well, and the argument always is we're a small market club. We're never going to be able to outspend some of the others. Guys, we're spending millions of dollars a year in all this other stuff. The money's there. You just have to spend it. You have to be willing to spend the money.
Yeah.
And I agree. I can get behind that point that maybe it is not. Maybe Peter isn't able to build the team he wants to build because of money. That's totally valid. I don't know. I know I promised last episode that or 2 episodes ago that I wasn't gonna keep harping on Peter every game. But then I don't know, Peter does something like existing and makes me want to say something again.
No, I get it, and I understand the frustrations, and of course, as a fan of a club that's not doing well, we want to find answers, and it's like you've mentioned before, a lot of times when the teams aren't winning, it's the coach that gets the axe. That's just what we're used to. So I think it's hard for us as fans to acknowledge that like maybe that's not the answer. Maybe it is. I'm not saying in this particular instance, I'm not saying one way or the other. I think it's just like, well, every other team, when they have this problem, they fire their coach. And we are in the very small minority here where we are like, okay, we have a problem, but our higher ups don't think it's the coach. And we think Peter, because he's done it before, he's taken, poor performance, taken a couple transfer windows back when we used to actually sign players, and built another better squad. He's done it before. So I understand why they're like, well, let's let him try to do it again. We got to give him at least a few transfer windows to do it. but I also think they have to let him spend money.
Yeah.
And if they're
That's
not going to do
valid.
that, then we're not, you can't always just find cheap players to
Mhm.
come in and fill
Right.
roles. You can't always do. We got really lucky with Eric Tommy that it was a free transfer and we didn't have to spend a whole lot of money on him.
Yeah.
But
I would agree with that.
we had to let Gotti walk and just didn't replace him. Like we signed Memo, but that wasn't like for like to begin with.
Yeah.
And then has
Well,
turned out to very much not be like for like. So it's even with Memo
yeah.
performing pretty well, it's
Uh-huh.
still not a Gotti replacement. So it's
Right.
like, what are we doing?
Just very quick point of order. I don't believe we had to let Gotti walk. I believe Peter chose to let Gotti walk because of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
personal issues they had with each other.
Yeah,
Just for
yeah,
the
yeah.
record.
Yeah, I meant like we had to go and do that kind of thing, not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we were forced to.
that's valid. Okay.
We let him walk but didn't replace
Mhm.
him.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
fair.
and then we have these major problems at like center back at the end of last year. Well, actually at the end of last year our center backs played really well. So but
Yeah.
still we had 3/4 of a season with terrible center backs and we didn't
Mhm.
do anything to address it.
Yeah.
It just I don't know, it just felt like we haven't really signed anybody. And to me, some of the stuff Peter's been saying makes it at least seem like maybe he's been trying and the
Mhm.
club is not spending enough money or not willing to spend the money that it's going to take to get some people in here to actually make some changes.
That's a valid argument that I can stand behind. I
Mhm.
would say my issue has always been that Peter should not be in charge of two things. He should
I
not be in
agree.
charge of the coach or
Yep,
be he should not be in charge of coaching the club, and he should not be in charge of player acquisitions.
I agree.
That is too many things for. There's a reason that hardly any teams do it.
Mhm.
Even across all of sports, there are very few coaches that do both. Um, and so that's been my biggest issue. I think he needs to relinquish the player acquisition side of things, which I think what's his name, the signing or the guy we signed at the beginning of the year.
Gavin Williams.
Yeah, I think that
What are you talking about?
Gavin Wilkinson.
Mm.
I think the Gavin Wilkinson thing was, I mean, that was obviously a step in the direction of trying to get away from that. And then I think that coupled with the firing of Brian Bliss, um, which for those of you who don't know, Brian Bliss was fired. Sorry
Mhm.
you heard from me. Um,
Also, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure that we don't go too long that we forget to mention this. Um, You're talking about hiring Gavin Wilkinson to fill that role, not
yes,
him
thank you.
specifically, like hiring
Yes,
somebody. Okay.
thank you. Yeah,
Just wanna make sure because
yeah,
Gavin Wilkinson is a pile of
yeah.
garbage. So,
Please don't clip that and put me on the internet.
yeah, I'm just making sure all our listeners know we were not cool with that
No, no,
signing,
no.
but, uh,
There is video and audio evidence of such.
yes, just the
Um,
idea of signing
yeah,
someone to take
yeah.
that place. I got you.
Signing
Okay.
somebody to fill that role, obviously didn't work out because they hired the wrong guy. They
Mhm,
fixed it. Credit where it's due. But that coupled with firing of Brian Bliss, I think everybody's. This is a good sign of they are going to hire somebody who is going to be that's going to be their job is player personnel and
mhm,
acquisitions. That's going to be all they do,
mhm,
which I think is desperately needed.
mhm, and also,
Um,
I am available.
and then the
A
other
lot
side,
cheaper than anybody else, I promise.
that's true. The other thing I've always hated about Peter is his inflexibility to do anything. He's always been very rigid in the way he does things. It's always the sporting way, sporting fit. We're going to play a 4-3-3, and we're going to die on this hill. We're going to play possession soccer. Um, Now, RSL and this last game were perfect examples of Peter trying something different. And you're right, he tried something different. A lot of people freaked out about it. Um, to me, because you texted me immediately and said, in my opinion, this obviously puts the whole this is Peter Vermees's fault completely to bed. My thing has always been Peter is obviously a good um he's obviously a legend at this club. He's been doing this for forever. He's one of the longest tenured coaches ever in MLS. Um, my issue has always been his inflexibility and his unwillingness to change from his methods. If he's able to adapt from that, if he's actually willing to change the way he coaches the game and he's willing to adapt to this new league, I have no problems with giving Peter a shot to show and prove that. So I want to be very clear. Like I've always hated Peter for some of the things that he does. I'm sorry, I haven't always hated Peter. I over the last 2 years have very much disliked Peter for the way that he's done certain things, the way he's handled certain situations, and some of the rigidity he's had. If he's willing to adapt and grow and evolve with the game, I'm more than happy to give him a shot. And the last 2 games were proof that maybe he is. We're definitely starting to see more subs out of him. Like we're starting to see things that have always been a gripe that he's actually doing. So if he does it and he continues to do it and he doesn't try to slip back into a 4-4-3 or 4-3-3 again, I'm more than happy to give him a chance. Again, those have always been my 2 biggest issues, and up until very recently, Peter has proven the fact that he will always do exactly what he wants to do, and he's not going to change his ways.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's been shifting a little bit, so we'll see.
Sure.
But I'm willing to give him a chance. So anyway,
fair enough.
I ranted for a minute. There you go.
You're good. I will add I agree with pretty much with most of what you said there. I like that he's been making some changes. I'm a little less hesitant in if he buckles down and we continue to do things the sporting way. In the event that it ends up being more of a, well, the sporting way is not working because we don't have sporting way players.
Yeah.
So like it could, and we don't know because we're not there yet. We haven't done it. We haven't started signing players to figure and had the roster overhaul. But if we do this roster overhaul they're talking about over the next 3 transfer windows, and we stick with a 4-3-3 in the same sporting way, possession football, and it works again, then I'm going to be like, okay, it wasn't the way we were doing it. It was the people we were doing it with.
Yeah.
And yeah, the way we were doing it, the sporting way with these players used to work. It's not working anymore. I just don't think there's a way to know if it's because of the players or because of the strategy needing to be fizzled out until we test that. There's no way for us to know. The only data we have right now is that it's not working, but it's with these players. So
that's a very good point.
It's hard to judge because especially the one I clap back on a lot is the possession football not working. We had 29% possession against Columbus, and they beat us 4-0. Possession football definitely works. You can watch it. The Euros are going on right now. 90% of those teams that are winning play possession football. Germany is probably the best example of how possession football will never not work. Just the basic concept of if your other team doesn't have the ball, they can't score. Like that. It just
I would say though, MLS is a different game than Germany.
I agree.
And I think the big thing I think people are most upset about is, as a coach, you can never be so rigid in your ways that you're trudging through an awful season and you're just refusing to do anything different.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You have to be willing to do something. And I can't think of any sport where you can do stuff the same way for decades and it'll work all the time. Eventually the sport evolves, the game moves on. Eventually those things don't work anymore.
True.
So
Unless
I think to some extent, well, unless you're the Yankees, but they're not playing the sport. They're just writing checks, and eventually they get lucky.
I was going to say my second example, though, to your point, would be Manchester United. And up until the middle of last season, I would have been right. But then starting the middle of last season, it really hasn't been working. So, and then this season, obviously. So, yeah, to your point, you're right. You can't. A lot of times, you can't just continue to do the same stuff over and over again.
But then I think even that, I mean, obviously I was, we were both younger whenever Sir Alex was doing most of his work. But I think we could both agree that he didn't play the game the same way every single time. He didn't have the same types of players.
Yeah, that's true.
The team evolves, the team moves, and you do what works with the players you have. You don't try to force the players to work in the system you want to do. The latter will never work. So you have to kind of figure out how to make it work with what you have. Yeah, I agree. It's probably a skill issue. It's probably because we don't have, it's very likely that it's because we don't have sporting fit players. Then quit playing the sporting fit way. Figure out how to make it work. At least try. If you're not willing to try to do something different, nobody's going to support you.
Yeah.
Which that I think is the big reason why people always blame coaches.
Yeah.
Obviously they're the face of the club. They're the ones that are most popular to get, to be pointed at because they're in charge of things, and even though it's not always fully in their control, they just control too much. So for me, that's always what it comes back to. Again, if Peter is willing to change his ways and kind of be willing to adapt to the situations that he's in, which he's proving that he's willing to do that, honestly, for the first time I've ever seen it. If he's willing to do that, I'm more than happy to give him a chance. And the only thing that stinks is we're going to have to sacrifice 2 seasons to basically see if it was the players or if it was Peter. And that kind of stinks. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're not winning a cup this year, so now it comes down to
MLS Cup.
we're not winning the MLS Cup.
We could still win the Open Cup.
We could still win the Open Cup, and there's always the Leagues Cup. You never know.
Yeah, true.
We could walk away with 2 trophies this season.
True. Wouldn't that be weird? What a weird season this would be to we'll finish 12th in the league, but win 2 trophies.
Yeah, that would be. I wouldn't want that on. Well,
I wouldn't either, but at the same time, I'd be like, call this season a failure.
Yeah,
like we got 2 trophies this season.
Yeah,
how could you possibly call it a failure?
We got more hardware than anybody else.
Yeah.
In the league, call it a failure. Do it.
Yeah,
and it'll be 3 trophies whenever we take home the wooden spoon.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
I think this ended up being way longer than any of us intended.
It's okay. Give us something to talk about that wasn't the games.
That's fair.
All right, let's click over to our MVPs.
Yep, let's do it.
If you could possibly have an MVP from this week, go ahead with it.
I mean, I guess if you score twice, you have to get an MVP, right?
Sure.
So if I have to pick one, Willie gotta he did score twice. Good for him.
Sure.
I mean, as always, Eric Tommy was the most talented player, was the best looking player on the pitch. So honorable mention for Tommy.
True. I was gonna just go with Cucho, right? It's not Chucho. Pretty sure it's Cucho.
What?
The striker for Columbus.
Oh, the guy who got
the guy who scored a hat trick against us. The guy who has the guy who scored the same amount of goals against us on Wednesday as Polito has this entire season.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that guy. Not Wednesday. Sorry, that was Saturday game.
Saturday, yeah.
But I decided to cheat.
Okay.
Of going with
I love cheating.
I cheated and I went with the ref.
Okay.
Not of our games though.
That's valid.
My MVP goes to referee Philip Dujich.
Okay.
Who was the referee from the St. Louis game. A lot of people listening will know this clip. Have you seen it yet?
I did. No, I haven't. I know exactly what clip you're talking about, but I didn't get to watch it.
You need, as soon as we get off of here, I'll send it to you. You need to watch it. It's incredible, especially because it happened to St. Louis. he goes in to review a goal that was called for a St. Louis goal, and he comes out in like this perfect theater-esque monologue voice, and he says, after review, there was no offsides offense. And all of the St. Louis fans start cheering, and he holds up his finger with a small smirk, and he goes, however, prior to the goal, there was a foul committed by St. Louis. The decision is a direct free kick.
Ooh, what a jerk. That's amazing.
So good. I love it. It's been all over like YouTube and Facebook and stuff. So you should definitely go watch it. It's worth it. But the fact that it happened to St. Louis just makes me even happier.
That's valid.
There's nothing better than pissing off St. Louis fans. He gets my MVP, Philip Dujich.
Amazing. I love it. I remember seeing the clip, but I wasn't in a place I could listen to it, so I vowed to watch it later, and then I just never did. So
yeah, it's worth looking it up. It's really funny.
Okay. All right, good deal.
So all right, who's your MVP and why is it Fontas?
The only reason it wasn't Fontas is because he wasn't there for both games to screw it up. Although he did play bad enough that it is Fontas. So I don't know. Throw a dart at the back line and pick somebody.
Sure.
Fontas is fine. I mean, honestly, like I thought Volodare did not look good in the second game either. I can pick a lot on him. Rosero looked decent. But then I don't know. They're so bad. It's so many to pick from. But backline,
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm gonna just cheat.
I went with Fontas because he did play in both games. He's who came in for Castellanos after he got injured.
I totally forgot about that.
He also managed to be directly responsible for giving up 2 goals in a game that he didn't start.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's fair.
While also giving up 2 goals in a game that he did start. So
listen, guys, like you understand the struggle, okay?
yeah.
It's hard to pay attention to a game whenever it's that bad and there's no hope of it getting better. So kill me. I don't care.
Yeah, my MVP also goes to Fontas and the cement bricks that he carries in his shoes.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't know how you go from getting robbed of the defensive player of the year 3 years ago to this.
Another thing they were talking about on No Other Pod was Fontas. If you look at the beginning of his career, we signed him in 2018.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let that sink in also. 2018 is when we signed him.
It's a couple years ago.
He did nothing for like 3 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he had his got robbed of Defensive Player of the Year season and has done nothing since then.
That's
so that 1 year is literally a complete outlier.
Interesting.
I hadn't really thought about it till I heard them talk about it, and I was like,
yeah,
he did. That is true.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
He really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
We got to talk about winning teams.
We got to keep this cooking. I got a guy coming to fix my dryer.
No, yeah, that's true. Current corner. Woo! This one's an easy one. I don't remember if we talked about the Chicago game in the last episode. I think we did, but in case we didn't, it was a 2-2 draw. So you're caught up.
We did mention it for a second.
I think we did, but I just couldn't remember. So just in case we didn't, I want to touch on 2-2 draw. Anyway, we played Portland, which is a good team. Well, not in this game. We beat them 4-1.
Yeah, we definitely smoked them.
Lola Banta has 2 goals. The second being a stunner from outside the box. Just a ugh. Teamwa Chawinga has her 9th of the season, which keeps her in the Golden Boot race. In fact, it tied her for the Golden Boot race with 9 goals. Also, that goal was incredible because she had 3 defenders around her and just outran everybody and put it in the goal.
She's so
incredible.
Fast.
And then 30 minutes later, Sophia Smith scored her 10th goal. So now she's still one goal ahead.
Yeah.
But we're not going to keep her down. We're just going to have to keep Teamwa Chawinga scoring. We are back on top of Orlando Pride, +1 goal differential now. But that's enough to keep us up. July 9th cannot get here soon enough.
It's crazy to think that the league is small enough where that it's realistic to think those 2 games could determine who gets first in the league.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that is a realistic assumption.
Yep.
So
yeah, crazy. It's wild. And then you look at ours where it's like we're I think almost maybe over halfway through the season, maybe not quite halfway. And we are in almost dead last, but could still make the playoffs. It's like it's very different because there's so many more teams and more games. But
yeah, well, and a stupid amount of teams make the playoffs. Don't get me started on that one, please.
Yeah, true. All right, well, let's take it around the league. Except for instead of taking it around the league, let's just take it straight to Copa America because I want to talk about another winning soccer team. Wha-bam! New graphic. Look at that. Woo! Look at that. Look what I did. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah, well, I know you did, but they haven't yet. Well, now they have because it's on screen. But
it's right. My bad.
U.S. men's national team beat Bolivia 2-0 down in Tejas. Should have been 5 or 6-0.
Yeah.
Great goal from Pulisic in the 3rd minute. It would be really nice if he could do that in a game that matters, though. Although I will say he was quoted before Copa. I didn't know this. They're talking about it in the announcers were talking about it. That he said previously he has always had some contention when he gets to play for U.S. men's national team, typically coming from his club side. A lot of people know when he played for Chelsea, there was a lot of unhappiness and a lot of issues going on there. Now he's with AC Milan, pretty sure. I didn't look that up. Pretty sure it's AC Milan.
Yeah, it's AC Milan.
And he is their stud. He plays every game. No issues. He's much happier there. He said this is the first time that he has been happy at home and feels like he is playing his absolute best football. So there's nothing weighing on him when he comes to play for U.S. men's team. So maybe, just maybe, this will be the tournament.
That'd be nice. Bless you. Wow.
Thanks.
I felt
These
excessive.
headphones aren't very tight, so if I move at all, they just fall off. So.
Nice.
Anyway, Valorian Balogun with the second goal. I probably said that wrong, but whatever.
I
almost has like at least 2 other goals, at least 2 others. Again, we should have won this game by 6, but
agreed. A more clinical approach to the game. It's 6-0, which very likely is going to our standing in the group is definitely going to come down to goal differential. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I realistically think we're both us and Uruguay are going to beat Panama and Bolivia.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just I could see us drawing against Uruguay, and the game's just gonna the standing's gonna come down to goal differential. Not that it really matters. Like the path isn't that much different depending on if you get first or second. But anyway,
true. Although I think we win both games. Panama, Uruguay, win both. We're gonna lose the final to Argentina.
You think we beat Uruguay?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do. Because I think they're our third game. If they were our first game, then no, I think we probably would have drawn, maybe even lost. But because they're our third game, we can get all the glitches out. Because the only thing I really see with this team is they seem to be not on the same page all the time. But I think, and I even was texting you about this during the game, if they can figure that out and get on the same page, this team is going to be so dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe this is my, red, white, and blue colored glasses wearing it, but I just feel like our lineup is insane. We've got like Pepe coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Adams is only 45 minutes fit. Sergino Dest isn't even playing because he hurt his knee. I don't even know if he's going to be back for this tournament or not. I imagine probably not.
I don't think so.
But we've got guys on our bench like Luca Del Torre, Pepe again, Brendan Aronson. Why can't I say names today?
I don't know.
Shaq Moore, Haji Wright, Josh Sargent, just some other one. Like our bench is stacked. We could form an 11 that would have beat Bolivia with our bench.
Probably.
It's insane. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just think this team could be so good, and we have so much talent in individual players that if they can just get on the same wavelength, it's going to be ridiculous. So I think by the third game we'll have that figured out.
Okay.
And I think we win all 3.
And then you think we lose in the finals to Argentina? Is that what you said?
Yep.
I don't think we lose in the finals. I think that's because we lose in the semifinals
to Brazil.
Yes.
I don't know. Brazil just drew like Colombia, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. They seem kind of weak to me.
Yeah.
Let me go to the table here and look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Colombia. Yeah, they just drew to Colombia. Or no, they just drew to Costa Rica. Even worse.
Oh, that is worse.
And I want to say it was goalless. It was 0-0 draw to Costa Rica.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we just drew them 1-1 like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's true.
I don't know. I think we're looking at a final loss to Argentina.
Okay. I mean, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
No.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I would sure love the chance to play Mexico though.
Me too, but honestly, I don't even know if they'll get out of their group.
I think they'll make it. They did draw a pretty insane group.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think they'll make it out of the group. Not an insane group. It's hard to say there's an insane group in Copa.
Yeah, true.
But they definitely drew a trickier one for than some of the others. But
I think I saw a fan that had posted after they beat Jamaica 1-0. They posted something about the kings of Copa America are back. Argentina and Brazil are quaking in their boots. And I know I texted you about it too. I was like, you beat Jamaica 1-0. Like, relax, okay?
Yeah.
You haven't beat us in like 2 years or something like that. So
yeah. There's been like 5 Dos Aceros since you last beat us. Let's calm down.
Like, just chill, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Thursday against Panama.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a good one. I think we'll get it. I think we'll get it done.
Yeah, probably.
That'll put us on 6. Uruguay will probably beat Bolivia. That'll put them on 6, which
Mm-hmm.
means honestly, that means the Uruguay United States game is pointless as far as who advances.
Right. It'll just come down to who goes on what side.
Yeah, who goes on what side. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess I assume they care about that, but maybe they don't.
I don't think. I mean, in this tournament, it doesn't matter too much.
It just depends on who you want to play, I guess.
Yeah, because I think that would mean more than likely we'd end up playing Mexico in the semis, and then no, I'm sorry, we'd have to play Mexico in the quarters, and then we'd have to play Argentina in the semis. So I think that would be a much harder path.
Yeah,
I do
I'm trying
think
to find the bracket real quick and see, because I think it was if we win our group, it puts us on the right side of the bracket, which is where Brazil is supposed to be.
Correct.
Of course, if they don't ever win anything, then they're not going to make it that side either. So
yeah, because if we win the group, we're likely going to get Colombia, and then we'll play Brazil. If we get second in the group, then we'd actually play Argentina in the quarters, and then we'd have to play Mexico in the semis.
So Argentina gets second place of our group in their quarters?
Correct.
Oh.
And that's assuming Argentina wins their group, which, I mean, obviously they likely will.
Yeah, but they're probably going to.
Mm-hmm.
So. Well, anyway. That is interesting.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Oh, there it is, finally. A1 and B2. What group are we in?
We're B.
We are B?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we get 2, then yeah, we would play probably Argentina. If we get B1, where do we go? B1, we play A2.
Yeah, we play A2, which would be likely Canada.
Wait, and how? Then there's no way we end up playing. No, we're not Group B. We're Group C. We're on the other side regardless.
No, we could definitely be on the right.
No, I'm looking at the bracket right now. The quarterfinals are C1 versus D2 and D1 versus C2.
Hang on.
So we're in Group C. So we'll be on the right-hand side. We'll either play second place from D group, Colombia and Brazil, if we won, or if we got second, then we would play first place from that group.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I am confusing things.
Yeah, so we won't see Argentina until the final.
Okay.
Argentina's going to play probably Mexico. We won't see Mexico until a final either.
Right.
Which that's not happening.
No.
Mexico's not making a final.
No, they're not against Argentina. I mean, let's be real. It's just Messi's cup. We're all just fooling around.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he'll decide he would rather nap on July 14th and doesn't want to play.
Maybe. All right.
Let's get good, bad, and ugly done, and then we can get out of here.
Let's do it.
Well, then we preview, and then we'll get out of here.
Yep.
What's your good?
My good. I'm gonna do this, and hopefully it doesn't get our stream taken down.
Okay.
But this was too good not to share. For those of you who don't know Alexi Lawless, he's a great guy. He's very funny to listen to in his rants. And he is a great player. He used to have fantastic hair, and now it's all gone. It makes me a little sad. But this guy was at the game, and it was just too amazing. Hang on, how do I do this? We got to do this, right?
Nope, just click add to stage.
All right. Oh, there it is. Got it. So Alexi Lawless on the bottom, and then this guy, just amazing. Like fantastic work from him on getting that little get up together. So
yeah, really spot on. That is a good one.
That's my good.
All right, my good is just that there's so much soccer right now, Euro and Copa. It's like every 3. There's another game that kicks off in 4 minutes.
There's a lot of soccer.
The early Copa games today kick off in 4 minutes. So
yeah,
just lots of soccer, and that's just the best. I just love it.
It's pretty great.
All right, what's your bad?
My bad goes to the only team that got beat down worse than us on Saturday, which goes to San Jose, who I think just fired somebody, but they got beat by LAFC 6-2.
Yeah, well, at least they scored.
Ouch. Yeah, at least they scored.
You know, that is rough.
That's my bad.
My bad goes to Croatia in a great game against Italy. They get a PK. Donnarumma saves the PK. just for a minute later, he makes another brilliant save, but it falls right at the feet of a guy's name who I can't remember right now. That plays for Croatia. That is like their main guy. Why can't I think of his name? Luka Modric. That's the one. And he slots it home just for Italy to score in the 98th minute to get the tie, which also knocked Croatia out.
Yeah.
Just and it was the last act of the game. They had to defend for 20 more seconds and they were through, and Italy was out. But just goes to show why I love this. I love the group stage stuff. It's still just as exciting as knockout. I love it.
It's such a cruel game sometimes, but man, is it fun.
Probably Luka Modric's last hurrah in a Croatia uniform, you got to assume.
I would, you got to think
before he comes to MLS, probably.
More than likely.
All right, what's your ugly?
My ugly, it's got to be us.
Yeah, that's fair.
It has to be.
Mine is specifically 4 goals given up in 3 straight games. It's just pathetic. Yeah. I know I had heard also on no other pod that has happened something like 20 times in the last decade, but it's now happened to us 3 times in a row.
Yikes.
Just disgusting.
That's not good.
Just, ugh. Well, speaking of sporting and poor form, at least we get a slightly worse team this week.
Do we?
A little bit. Austin. We get Austin. They're 7-6-7. They're 8th in the West.
That's
they are at least worse than the last 2 teams we played. I don't know that it's going to go a whole lot different, but it is at home, which has not mattered literally at all this entire season. So, how do you think this goes?
I think we're going to come out of last game. I think Peter's going to crack some heads. I think we're going to see some really fired up guys on the pitch. So I think we're going to lose 3-2.
Nice. All right.
Sorry.
I agree.
4-2. We're going to keep the form going.
Okay. 4-2. All right. I'm going to go with pretty much everything you said. I think Steeeve and Logan is going to score again. He's going to continue to be our only bright spot in a game that we will lose 3-1.
That's valid.
So I can't wait to have another losing podcast. Oh, I forgot to switch to that. Oh, actually, it would be the preview. But again, those didn't load, so I don't have preview slides. So we'll just go to this one. Point update very quickly. We both got both games right. Didn't get the scores right, so we each got 2 points. I have 13. You have 12.
Might as well have not done nothing.
You did, however, eclipse your entire total from last season. So congratulations. So
being negative is paying off. Let's go.
Yeah, right? All right. Let's get all these fine people out of here.
Let's do it.
We, of course, appreciate you guys listening to us. If you want to watch us, turn over to YouTube and check out our videos. And also, we are still streaming on the Fired Up Network on True TV app. I will be on the Timeout Kansas City one this week, recording that here in about 3 hours. So if you guys want to check both of those out, I'll be talking more crap on sporting on a different podcast.
Let's go.
So can't wait. You can get that on Amazon, App Store, Roku, and Apple TV. All of our links are below, including our personal Twitters. If you want to hit us up there, that's fine too. As always, we would appreciate a like and subscribe because it does help us. You know, we're up to 19 subscribers on YouTube. How about that?
Let's go.
How about that? It'd be really cool if we could hit 25 this week.
That'd be nice.
Can we make it happen? If you're watching us on YouTube and you don't subscribe, just click. It's free. You don't have to do anything.
Please,
click it.
Please.
That's it. That'd be so cool.
Be nice.
Anyway, you got anything else?
Nothing for me.
All right. I appreciate you as always.
I appreciate you, Steve.
You all have a great week.
See you, everybody.